Sure thing.
Moves out of this everywhere in the middle of the hospital and up, and
Well, it's
and he's
just
on the
part of
phone,
their
he's on his phone
anatomy,
trying to
folks, yeah.
get stuff done.
So,
Step back and go, why?
Exactly.
You're right.
Well, I think we're ready, Tracy. Welcome, everybody, to our council committee meeting of March the 12th, 2026. Dan, can you call the roll, please?
And do so. We start with the chair, Deputy Mayor Sanderson,
Present?
Mayor Blair,
Present.
Councillor Weatherby,
Present.
Councillor Richardson,
Present.
Councillor Cooper,
Present.
Councillor Johnson,
Present.
Councillor Leggett,
Present.
Councillor Martell,
Present.
Councillor Patton on the big screen.
She said she can't hear.
Can you hear us, Councillor Patton? Ooh.
Okay, I can see Councillor Patton, so we'll have her as present. Councillor Benoit,
Present.
Councillor Fletcher,
Present.
Councillor Kennedy.
Present.
Everyone is present. We have quorum.
Thank you. In peace and in friendship and in the spirit of truth and reconciliation, I acknowledge that the Municipality of Colchester is in Mi'kma'ki, the unceded and ancestral territory of the Mi'kmaq. You have an agenda before you. I have one addition, and it's 17B in closed session, 17B contract. Could add that. Is there any other additions or deletions from the agenda? Anybody prepared to move the adoption of the agenda? Moved by Councillor Kennedy, seconded by Councillor Cooper. All in favor, say aye. Probably supposed to ask anybody opposed, but I don't see,
She logged off.
She's off, yeah.
Back in.
okay, motion carries. Should we wait for her or? There she is.
I'm good.
Oh,
Hey, Bill.
are you present?
I
Councillor
am,
Patton?
thank you.
Okay.
Yes,
All right.
I had to log in.
Okay. Oh, there you are. You were frozen for a bit there. So, yeah.
I'm here.
Sorry to hear you're not feeling well.
Thank you.
The minutes of February 3rd and 12th meetings have been circulated. Are there any errors or omissions? Prepared to approve the minutes, moved by Councillor Weatherby. Seconded by Councillor Benoit. Is anybody opposed to the motion? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you. Is there any business arising from the minutes? Anything anybody wants to raise? Not seeing anything, so we'll move on to our action items, and our first item is Personnel Policy 5.11, Exit Interviews Amendments. And Kelly, our HR manager, will deal with this one. Please, Kelly.
Good evening. The exit interviews personnel policy was last updated in 2014. It requires updating to reflect current operational processes, up-to-date human resource best practices, and the recent addition of an online exit interview option. Some background on how these proposed changes came to be. Previously, there's been no standardized information given to departing employees, and all exit interviews were done in person. And because of that, employees commonly elected not to schedule an exit interview. The employee departure process was recently enhanced to include the employee departure information letter, which includes information on questions that commonly get asked when an employee submits their notice. The letter gives the option of scheduling an in-person interview or following a link to an online interview. Benefits of including an online exit interview option are potential for increased participation in exit interviews and data being compiled in a way that easily shows trends and analytics. The ease of accessing analytics and visual representations of data electronically will create a more workable way to identify areas for workplace improvement and strategic approaches to recruitment and retention, which is the ultimate goal of exit interviews. Moving on to the key proposed changes. Wording changes to capture the addition of the online exit interview option. clarification on what confidential means. Amendments proposed that confidentiality may not be kept should the employee disclose a workplace issue requiring immediate addressing. Clarification that exit interviews are voluntary. Ensures that benefits conversion is part of the conversation when an employee leaves and is documented for them, as employers can be held liable for failing to provide this information to employees. And for in-person exit interviews, the amendments designate HR as the interviewer rather than the exit interview team, including the employee's direct supervisor. And this practice encourages honesty from the interviewee and therefore more accurate data. The recommendation is staff recommend that council committee recommend to council approval of the updated personnel policy. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. Anybody prepared to put a motion on the floor? Nobody? Councillor Leggett, do you want to turn your mic on there? please?
I'll put the motion on the floor to adopt the changes made to the exit strategy or exit interview policy.
So the council
Yes.
recommend,
Okay.
the committee recommends to council,
Which one?
right there, Nigel.
Number one. Okay. The council recommends the council that the updated exit interview personnel policy be approved as presented.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Kennedy. Is there any discussion on the motion? I heard of Councillor Cooper.
Thank you, Chair. Here to Kelly, please. Just one thing, Kelly, under the policy part itself. There's a paragraph where it says employees whose employment is being terminated will have an exit interview only if they request one. Why do we put it that way?
Terminations are typically quite abrupt for the employee, so there wouldn't be any notice. Of course, there's potential for awkwardness, tension, that sort of thing. I've never met an employee that wanted anything to do with HR post termination meeting, so that's why it is worded as such.
Yeah, well, I just asked that because I've no one, certainly all people past where I've worked that have let go, but it's been,
Typically, it's a quick exit from the building post termination meeting.
are they aware that they can ask for one or they wanted to?
It hasn't been brought up previously in a termination meeting, no.
I'm just thinking that, there might be something they wanna say something or.
That's what we're doing. The option.
Yeah, I know it's got the option, but I don't know if they're aware that they could do it. They're not being asked.
It's something that we could incorporate.
Yeah, I'm just thinking why wouldn't we ask that?
Our CAO, please.
Yeah, just
Thank you.
curious.
So through the chair, in that scenario, the individual is like being let go with cause. And so understand that at that point, you're at that moment saying, this is why this relationship is ending. And generally, if somebody has to say, they will usually say it in that moment, if there's something that they need to say. Normally, and I think to Kelly's comments, people generally don't want to come back and have a further conversation if you've been fired from employment. Really, this is typically geared around individuals who will be leaving, and you're trying to capture from them what information could they share with you that would enhance your opportunity to attract and retain people. Usually when somebody's fired, what you're getting at that moment wouldn't necessarily be something that would be about enhancing how you would do what you do. So
Yeah, I certainly respect that, but I'm thinking that some people may, after immediate time, may have something they'd like to share about their experience there or whatever. I guess what I'm saying is I think that they should be made aware that they could request that.
Got it.
Whether they do or not is.
Our solicitor, I think, has a comment on that. Dennis?
Yeah, Dan covered some of what I wanted to say. The other part of it is often there's legal implications going back and forth. Someone's getting advice both ways, whether they're happy with the circumstances. There's a some sort of severance on the table, there's a period of time that employees, you wouldn't want them participating in that sort of discussion. So if it's a matter of after all that's wrapped up and advising them they have the right retrospectively to, or to do it after that, but there's a number of pressures going on at that time that
Yeah. no,
I wouldn't drop that in the middle of this.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying that they should have the knowledge that they could if they wanted to at some point. Yeah, that's all.
Right. Any further discussion on the motion? All right, you ready for the question? I think we'll have it up on screen. Motion will- And we'll get to our online counselor in a second. And Counselor Patton, do you vote? Yeah, aye, how do you say that?
No.
Yes or no? Yay
Yes.
or no? Yes, thank you. And the voting has closed. And we've got unanimous. Councillor Patton. Correct. Thank you, Tracy. Sorry, aye. Is aye, is it? Yeah, you're yay or nay. now. Mental block there.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Kelly. Our next item is number 6, merging of municipalities Hants into Colchester Regional Emergency Management Organization. And Dave Westlake is going to tell us about this one. Over to you, Dave.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Before you is an item that was initially discussed a little while ago. And it was a request from the Municipality of East Hants to enter into the merger with Colchester Regional Emergency Management Organization. Both the Municipality of East Hants and our REMO, Colchester Regional Emergency Management Organization, have very well established management programs. We were one of the first ones in the actual province to develop a REMO. That was enacted in March of 2000, just with ourselves. So we do have a long-standing history of how these things work. The Department of Emergency Management has created provincial standards for all of the regional emergency management organizations that I believe have been finalized as of November, and that they request municipalities, all municipalities, to participate in a regional emergency management organization. The reason that East Hants and Colchester seem to be a very good fit is that we share a geographical boundary along with many of the identified risks and vulnerabilities to each of our regions. The municipality of East Hants, along with our program, I'm sorry, I just lost my page.
No
My
worries.
apology. That's, but our REMOs and the Municipality of East Hants, the programs greatly strengthened. A required response to the central part of the province by sharing and allowing the sharing of emergency management trained staff and resources. The formation of this new regional emergency management organization comprised of our current program at Colchester and East Hants would require some logistical planning and the creation of new agreements, bylaws, committees, and consolidating our emergency plans. The town of Truro has just recently agreed to accept this merger with East Hants, and the town of Stewiacke is crafting their approval of permitting East Hants to join our REMO. You currently there is some options with this. You can maintain status quo, or we can proceed as one entity with regards only to our emergency management practices. It's not expected to have any major financial implications with regards to daily operations. And all these different standards and everything have been all crafted by provincial legislation and we're going forward on these. I would like to recommend that we permit the municipality of East Hants into our REMO.
Thank you, Dave. Mayor Blair, please.
Thank you, Deputy. I'm prepared to put a motion on the floor that council committee recommends to council that the municipality permit the municipality of East Hants to join our Colchester REMO.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Richardson. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Councillor Cooper, please.
Thank you, Chair. And Dave, 1 second. So I just got one question, Dave. So there's an emergency. Like, who declares that? Like, is there one person declares for both counties or?
The way that the current, our current bylaw reads, as well as with our intermunicipal agreement, which would be extended in, or crafted as to new to encompass all of the bodies. If a state of local emergency is declared, it basically states for our current system right now that any of the mayors or councils could declare for any or all of the regions. So we act as one entity. And because we have a regional emergency management advisory committee, we would work in conjunction and an individual mayor can declare for the whole region. And we act as one entity, all 3 municipalities in Colchester, and hopefully East Hants would all bring all the assets and resources and trained personnel to the table to mitigate those situations to the best of our ability.
Case. So can we declare it a emergency?
If they cannot, if East Hants or the town of Truro or the town of Stewiacke, for some reason, maybe their mayors or councils or something is unable to declare, then yes, they can act as one entity.
This fits in this.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions for Dave?
Just a question.
Councillor Kennedy?
Dave, is there anything that we have to change if they're joining us? Can we just continue with the same thing? And the second part would be extra costs.
Counselor through the chair. What would probably happen is we would have to look at redrafting our bylaws to encompass one more municipal unit into our current frame, or look at a whole new frame that would be appetizing to all 4 of the municipalities that would be involved. We would look at a new intermunicipal agreement, which just basically means we would probably look at extending or looking at different opportunities to sign memorandum of understandings or you know, like sharing of resources, those kind of things. A lot of these things would be strategic, encompassing and incorporating our emergency management plans to both identify that they would identify Colchester, and we would bring their in, and we would probably through myself and the counterparts that are down in East Hants, we would come up with something that would be palatable for our new emergency management plans, our evacuation plans, our comfort centers, all the contingency plans that we've identified within our emergency management plan that would encompass our vulnerabilities and stuff. Because we have very similar infrastructures, we share highways, we share roads, we share floodplains, we share all those normal things that they really are a very close relative to what we would need to do within that emergency. Does that answer your question?
It does. So as far as resources go, Madam Chair, be no extra resources
There
required.
would just be some staff time that would have to go and draft these things, and a new establishment of a regional emergency advisory committee, which would be comprised of the 3 mayors and the warden from East Hants, the 3 CAOs, 3 elected officials, and then 1 more from East Hants. And we would strike new committees. And then over time, we would probably slowly roll out this process on how we're gonna blend these two programs together.
Thank you. Anything further? We have a motion on the floor. Ready for the question? All right, Tracy. Please vote now. And Councillor Patton, are you in favor of the motion?
I am, thanks.
Thank you. The vote is closed. And we have one no. Almost.
Was that me?
Yeah,
Oh, sorry, I didn't know you guys.
okay, so we have a unanimous.
aren't that big.
Okay. Unanimous.
Westlake's sorry with that.
Don't make them.
Pretty sure. Exactly.
Okay, moving right along to our community event grant policy amendments, and Greg's already at his post, and just want to congratulate Craig and his team on a wonderful showing over in Denmark with the world junior curlers from our region. You did us proud, so thank you.
Thank you.
Community event grant policy amendments.
Okay, Council, Madam Chair, in front of you, we have the community grant policy for council consideration. The community event grant policy hasn't been updated since November of 2017. With the implementation of the Central Nova Scotia Tourism Development Society, updates to this policy is required, and it aligns with the policies and practices of that society. So some of the key changes to this policy is providing clarity around the types of events eligible under this policy, types of events that would be covered under the society, stipulation that organizations cannot receive funding from the economic or the community event grant and the society's event funding program, and the maximum grant allowance under this community events policy. So the staff and the Central Nova Tourism Development Society feel the policies are aligned and allowing a streamlined process that avoids duplication. So I have a few options here, 3 options. One would be to consider the amendments to the community event policy. Council could recommend, or the committee could recommend council further amendments, or could recommend no changes to that policy. The policy is attached with our strikeouts, and the information I think is in your copy in red. So I don't, if you've taken a look at that, I don't know if I want to highlight everything, but if you've taken a read of it, it's pretty, I think we're pretty happy with what the amendments are for this policy, and helps our department as well as the society. So I'll open it up for some questions.
Thank you, Craig. Anyone like to put a motion on the floor? Councillor Benoit.
Thank you, Deputy. I'll put a motion that council committee recommends to council that the amendments to the community event grants policy be approved as presented.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Weatherby. Any further discussion on the motion? Okay, so we're ready for the vote. Please vote now. And Councillor Patton, are you a yes in favor of this?
Yes,
Yes,
Thanks.
thank you. Vote is closed. And we're unanimous. Thank you, Craig. And you're on again. Community event grant request for 4-H from 4-H Nova Scotia for the Atlantic Members Conference, coming up in very soon, at the end of the month.
Yes, Council, through you, the chair, we have a community event grant, the last one for this fiscal year, because we are nearing the end. This is for the 4-H is looking for funding through the event grant. They're having the Atlantic Conference to help build leadership and personal development skills, build youth development, strengthen peer connection, and empower the next generation of our leaders. 4-H did put a request in for $5,000 for the grant process. It does meet the criteria. The event is taking place March 27th to the 29th. The organizing committee had submitted the application in February 26th. when I got back into the office, it was March 4th, so didn't have a lot of time to look at this application, but we have looked at it. The organization is expecting up to 110 athletes or attendees, sorry. I got my headphones for some reason, I don't know. The grant is a maximum of 3 years, as we know, and this would be the first request for this type of conference. I have three options. They could support in the amount of 5,000. They could do some portion of that, or they could deny the funding. It falls under the grant. We had 60,000 in that year, 2025-26, and this year. Currently, we're at 35,916 of the 60,000. We've looked at it. I've looked at it through our staff. Staff is recommending 3,000, and how I identified that is you look at the budget item. We were looking at supporting the keynote speaker for that item for that. But I'd open it up to the council to have any discussion and look at that recommendation or another recommendation from the floor.
Thank you, Craig. Councillor Patton, please.
Thank you, Chair. I'm prepared to put a motion on the floor that council committee recommends to council that funding in the amount of 5,000 be approved for the 4-H Nova Scotia Atlantic Members Conference in 2026, and I'd like to speak on it.
All right, seconded by Councillor Richardson. And Councillor Patton, please.
Thank you, Chair. I've attended this Atlantic Members Conference. It brings members from all over the Atlantic provinces together. And it's quite something to see these young leaders in action and what they learn over the course of the weekend. So I've attended as a leader, a chaperone, and a presenter, and I'm never disappointed by the quality of these young members. So I'm asking for the full 5,000. I can't believe they've never come before to ask for assistance with this. And I did confirm with 4-H Nova Scotia that all of the activities take place in Colchester County, even though they mentioned Truro in their application. Everything happens in Colchester County. So I just wanted to confirm that as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Did somebody else want to speak to this? No. Question has been called. You ready for the vote? Tracy, please. Please vote now. And Councillor Pat, I'm assuming you're a yes.
Yes.
Okay, and the vote is closed. So we are almost unanimous, one nay vote. Thank you, everybody. The motion carries.
Thank you. And I'll put a little plug in for everyone to watch PSN for the Women's Worlds, which starts on
Yes.
Saturday. It's someone near and dear to my heart is playing on it.
They'll be cheering them on.
Yeah.
It's the Anderson rink, right?
Yes.
Anderson, yeah. Wonderful. We're moving on then to our annual account write-offs. And Scott, if you wouldn't mind taking this, please.
Thanks, Deputy Mayor. The purpose of this item is to get council's approval for the annual write-offs in advance of our year end. And this is a process that's prescribed under legislation and municipal accounting guidelines. Just 5 items this year on a roll of tax accounts that's getting close to 30,000. It's a good sign off the get-go, and that's largely in part due to being able to collect overdue accounts through our tax collections process, which includes the tax sale process. However, having said that, as in most cases, mobile homes are typically ones that can sometimes end in needing to be written off. And in this case, that's what we have tonight. 4 items are mobile homes. And you'll see where in those cases, a lot of times they're destroyed or deactivated, sometimes relocated and unable to determine where they are. The 5th item is a tax or is a water utility account in Tatamagouche. And as you'll see there, they're unable to locate the owner. So just for comparison purposes, in the past, we have typically had small amounts, I would say. 24, 25, we had just over 1,600 that needed to be written off. 23, 24, it was just over 13,000. And this year, we're looking at a write-off of $8,575.46. I will add that we do go through a different process in situations where we can't go to tax sale. So we do have internal collection processes that we try to attempt to collect. And then as a final stop, we use a collections agency, and those folks try to collect. And once we've determined that those things aren't working, we then take these items to council. So having said that, we do recommend writing off the 5 items. Happy to answer any questions if council has any.
Thank you, Scott. Mayor Blair, please.
I'm prepared to put the motion on the floor, Deputy. That council committee recommends to council that the 2025-26 property taxes, water utility receivables, and interest totaling $8,575.46 be written off.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Richardson. Any further discussion on the motion?
Question.
Okay, Mayor Blair, your microphone is. Question's been called. The vote is now open. Please vote. And Councillor Patton, are you a yay or nay? Yay.
Yay.
Thank you. And the vote is closed, and it is unanimous. Motion carried. Thank you. The next item is a 3-year cost-sharing agreement for J-Class roads. Michelle Boudreau, please.
Madam Chair, everyone's favorite topic, J-Class roads. So the item before you this evening is for council to make a decision or to recommend a decision on signing the 3-year agreement with the province on paving J-Class roads. So it's a very broad refresher. There are about 110 kilometers of J-Class roads in Colchester, and currently the process to have those paved, repaved is to have half the work funded by the province and half the work funded by the municipality. We're just entering the last year of the previous 3-year cost sharing agreement, and so now the province has forwarded an updated 3-year agreement for council's consideration. The new agreement would extend from fiscal 27-28 to 29-30. The submission made by council earlier this year for paving of Ice Pond, Basswood, Spruce, Highland Basin, and Clover. Don't have any update yet on whether or not those will proceed, but those were the last submission possible in the current 3-year cost share. Council's first time participating in funding their 50% share of cost share paving was in 25-26. The proposed cost sharing agreement hasn't changed from the last version. Everything remains standard. For October 31st of every year, council will submit a request to the province for specific J-Class roads that they would like to have paved and cost shared. Once we're advised that the province wishes to proceed with some of all of the requested paving projects, we have any business state to respond. So that's all the same as previous. And province is asking for a decision on J-Class 3-year by July. As I noted previously, signing this 3-year agreement does not tie council to committing to payment of any J-Class roads. It simply allows council to participate on an annual basis should they choose to do so. As a refresher, in 25-26, council did add 500,000 to the street paving reserve to help with funding J-Class road projects. The 25-26 project on Hillvale McCallum for $215,000. As council goes into the next budgeting cycle for 26-27, should they elect to continue participating in the program, then they'll have to discuss what kind of contribution that looks like. 27. Happy to answer any questions about the agreement. President?
Thank you, Michelle. Have a motion, please. Counselor Johnson?
I move the council committee recommends the council to enter into a 3-year 2027-28, 202-829, 202-930 cost sharing agreement for 2026-007 for J-Class roads with the province, and that the mayor and CEO will authorize the signed cost share agreements number 2026-007.
Seconder, seconded by Mayor Blair. Any further discussion on the motion? Counselor Kennedy?
Through the mayor. Once the road, J-class road is paved, does it lose its status as a J-class road then?
Through the chair, no. So once the road is paved or repaved, it remains J-class and remains under the ownership of the province. I know there was some talk in the past years about once it's paved, it would come to municipality, but that is not currently part of the process, and that's not included in the agreement before this.
It remains as J-class.
Correct.
Thank you.
Anything further? Any further question? Question's been called. Please vote now. Mayor Blair.
Oh.
The button.
Oh, it didn't work. I did.
Okay, and Counselor Patton, are you an aye or an nay? Yeah.
Aye.
Thank you. Vote is closed. And it's unanimous. Thank you. Okay. Next item is municipal fees policy revisions. Michelle, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The item before committee this evening is to review proposed changes to the municipal fees policy. This is a policy that was approved by council in 2018, and it was really meant to be a way to compile all municipal fees in one location so that residents would have easy access to those numbers. There are some changes required to the policy based on cost of service and also based on the recent rate review that was approved by the board for both Tattnall Bush and for water utilities. There are 3 main areas where we're looking at proposed fee changes. The first is under EV charging stations. So we do have 12 EV charging stations. Right now we're charging $1.50 an hour for charging, but based on Scotia Power rates, we're proposing that hourly rate be updated to $2 an hour, $1.50. So that's one of the proposed changes. Next is a change to the cost of installing a sewer lateral. So this cost was updated by council in 2024. At the time, the fee was set to be a range of anywhere from $5,000 to $7,000 for the installation of a new lateral. Of course, based on the cost escalations that we've seen in the last couple of years, the actual cost for installing a lateral now ranges between $7,000 and $9,000. So what staff are proposing first is to remove the range in the policy to simply have it as the average cost, which would be $8,000. The reason for that is currently having a range from $7,000 to $9,000 and having the director decide on an appropriate cost, which creates a lot of paperwork and delay, and it depends on a lot of different things. I think it's easier to simply have a flat rate rather than have people question why their neighbor paid $5,000. So we're proposing to have the lateral fee changed to $8,000 as a flat fee. This is actually consistent with what we include in the water rate regulations, which is a flat fee of $7,500 when a new lateral for water is installed. That's not a range, it's simply a flat fee. And then on the water side, a couple of things that have to be updated based on rates that were approved by the board. First, the installation cost for a lateral has gone up from $5,500 to $75,000, so we'll include that in the fee policy. Also, we currently collect for connection permits for water $150 in DeBert and $160 in Tattnall Bush. And historically, what was happening was $100 of that was being kept as a deposit and returned with interest once the water account was closed. It's challenging because sometimes water accounts can be in place for 20 years, 30 years, and so having to return that money with interest was becoming cumbersome and costly, and also the $100 isn't really protecting. It's not a lot of protection at this point. I think too, we aren't seeing, and Scott can probably speak a bit better to this, but we're not really seeing as many defaults in the accounts. And there doesn't seem to be a need to collect this deposit amount. So the intent here is to simply change the permit fees to $60 and none of it's refundable. It's a processing or rating. So with your item is a marked up version of the fee policy. Scott can speak to the EV rates as well as you provided that information and ability rate question.
Thank you, Michelle. Is anybody prepared to put a motion on the floor? Councillor Weatherby, want to put your mic on, please? Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. I'd like to move that council committee recommends to council that the proposed changes to the municipal fees policy be accepted as presented.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Cooper. Is there any further discussion on that motion? Councillor Benoit, please.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Through you to Michelle. In regards to the lateral installation and for the water and the sewer use, are we kind of, and I don't think this is possible, but are we in line with other municipalities for that price, or it depends on the municipality?
Through the chair, I would say probably most municipalities are in the $5,000 to $6,000 range. Some municipalities simply put the full cost on the resident and say it's up to you to hire a contractor. You do the full install at your cost. That being said, I would say those residents are probably paying $1,000 if that's the case. So I would say we're kind of in the middle of everybody else is doing. Ultimately, what we collected and looked at all of our costs over the last 3 years, and what we're saying is simply that 8,000 is the cost recovery number to do with it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Leggett, please.
Madam Chair, through Michelle. So if a person could do a combined trench, water and sewer, is it flat fee still for both of them? That could be a possibility.
I would say the majority of sewer laterals we install, there are no water services, so we don't often run into a dual trench. Also, part of the complications, there are regulations that require certain spacing between water and sewer. I understand what you're saying, that there would be some efficiencies. I think for the small number of cases where that would happen, we would just.
No, fair enough.
Thank you. Any further questions for Michelle? And nothing on the EV charging rate? Scott, right? You ready for the vote? It's been called. Thank you, Tracy. And Councillor Patton? Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. The vote is closed and it's unanimous in favor of the motion. Thank you, Michelle. The next item is the tax exemption request, the Truro Housing Outreach Society. And Scott, please.
Thanks, Deputy Mayor. We did receive a tax exemption request, and I put together this item for council's consideration. So with respect to 22 Title 4 Road in Central Onslow, and the facility does operate under Truro Housing Outreach Society, and they currently have a program there for transitioning individuals out of homelessness. It's been operating for less than a year, and in that time they've transitioned 3 residents. In terms of the tax implications, the property did qualify for a tax exemption as it's a registered charity, and it's also a nonprofit society. So under the MGA, council is able to give consideration to that. In terms of the tax exemption, if council was to grant a tax exemption on this, it would be equal to $10,382.19. In talking with them, I did determine the property is 100% dedicated to supportive housing, with no other uses reported. And for council's information, I did include the correspondence and their annual report. Well, if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them, but we are recommending the council approve a grant or a tax exemption, I should say, for the account for 26-27 fiscal.
Thank you, Scott. Councillor Patton, please.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to make a motion that council committee recommend to council that the request for a tax exemption to Truro Housing Outreach Society for property AAN number 00104949 be approved effective 26-27. And then I have a question.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Richardson. Go ahead, Councillor Patton.
Thank you. Through you to Scott. Scott, I might have missed it, but do they come back and reapply every year for this, or is this something moving forward as long as they own the property?
Yeah, that's a good question. Once properties are on the tax exemption list, they stay on there unless there's something that happens that becomes a situation where they no longer qualify. So, for example, if the property, in 10 years' time, let's say, was sold and it became a private dwelling, then it would be taxable again. Or, council can always revisit the property and determine that they no longer want to offer the grant or the tax exemption. But typically, they stay on the list annually.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Benoit.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I think they're doing great work there. I remember when this first came about that they were going to use this location, there was some concerns from community members. And since they've been there in this short period of time, there hasn't been any more phone calls or concerns that I've been aware of. And to have 3 transitioned within a year, I think is fantastic, because I remember when we had first talked with them, I don't think there was a timeline for the people that were staying there. Like, they could be there for years or months or what have you. And for them already to be transitioned into a home, I think that speaks volumes right there. So great work to those involved.
Thank you. You ready for the question? Question's been called. Please vote now. And Councillor Patton, are you a yes or a no?
I'm a yes.
I figured you were. Thank you. And the vote is closed, and it's unanimous in favor of the motion. That's our action items, and we're moving along to our information items. First one being the tourism marketing levy, fines and audit for non-compliant operators. I don't know, if Jen wants to speak to this, but you have the information note in front of you. Are there any questions for Jen? Any comments about the non-compliance and how we're going to handle that going forward? Nothing? Okay, thank you, Jen, for putting this together. And our next item is the flashing crosswalk signals, Salmon River Road at Eagle Drive. Michelle put this item together for our information. Anybody have any questions of Michelle? Councillor Leggett?
I do, thank you very much. Mr. Michelle.
Yep.
When we did the community walkabout in the fall, 2 residents that live across the road from this crosswalk, Randy Thatcher and Missy, both asked about this, and Kayla from Michelle Apartments said they basically everybody agrees with this, but apparently the way the standard's written is from some Ontario traffic study that Salmon River Road does not qualify for traffic volume for flashing lights. but everybody feels it's the best thing to do. So we did direct some people to Mr. Taggart's office, probably went. Or went, but I'm certainly in favor of this. But on another note, the speed sign that was put up a couple weeks ago on that pole, it's gone there now, but I don't know anything about them, so I'm just gonna say a couple things. It appeared if it wasn't bright for 2 or 3 days, it didn't work. I don't know what the battery capacity is or how they're powered. And talking to some other people and the principal of the school hours are like an hour before, an hour afterwards, and the thing was still flashing red at 50 kilometers an hour at 2 o'clock in the morning. So it should only really be flashing 50 during school hours. That makes any sense? I don't know what if they're programmable or what they are, so I don't know, just observations of the community myself.
Did you want to speak to that, Michelle? Go ahead.
Through the chair, so one of the things with the units now is we didn't put up the solar panels with them. And we were testing to see how long the batteries would last, and so some have been observed as not functioning. The batteries ended up lasting a week, so we take it back, charge it, bring it back, and the next day. So if you see a blip in the service, that's what's happening there. Once the spring comes and we can put a better install with the solar panels, then that should remedy that. In terms of whether or not they can be programmed, I can certainly check on that. They are always collecting data, which is the main thing, and we're looking at having that data emailed directly to our CMP. But I can certainly see if the speed programming can match the school hours. I guess one thing I will say is the signage is very clear that it's when children are present, and so my understanding is from our CMP that doesn't necessarily limit to school hours. It's even on a Sunday, if there's a child walking on the sidewalk by the school, then that 50 kilometers applies. So perhaps I'd be a little bit hesitant to have it flash differently at different times. I think ultimately where it's collecting the data and our CMP can tell what speed people are going, and that will be a big help.
Same, that's knowing nothing about them at all, just an observation.
And in terms of your earlier question about the flashing beacons and the warrants, so thus far within the county, when we requested a flashing beacon, the answer has always been the counts do not warrant the flashing beacon. But if you can provide pedestrian facilities on both sides, then you may install it. So I think your comment about not meeting the warrants on Salmon River Road applies to every signalized crossing that we've done. So that what you're saying is correct. That is the feedback we're getting.
Thank you, Michelle. Councillor Johnson, please.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I guess mine, I'll address this to Michelle also, but I also noticed that wasn't working for a while. I couldn't figure out why, but now I know. But my second question is that where are they? Did we put them back up, or are they out in Truro Heights or Defco?
Through the chair, I don't know as of today. I think we've been taking them down and putting them up depending on battery power. We only do have 2 units currently, but I can certainly check. If they're not back up, I assume they'd be the next day or so.
And this isn't addressed to you, but I know I spoke to our CEO back last fall. 2 is not enough in this county when we have the number of roads that we have, the number of districts that we have. So I think we probably should look at something here as spring comes and approaches that we address and buy a few more of these. But they seem to work, other than a couple mornings there they work with. I didn't realize that the solar panels were not on at that point. I didn't pay that much close to that. So, but yeah, I think we've been waiting for them for a long time. So that's the first thing. The second one, it's got nothing to do with crosswalks, but it does. Salmon River. It's been over a year and a half. We still haven't heard anything back on the East End Mini Mart crosswalk there at Ice Pond Drive. So I don't know whose desk it's sitting on. I just can't imagine it's taken a year and a half to do a quick study on this thing. But I'm not asking for information. Just put it back on your list. The next time you talk to who might be able to get an update.
Through the chair, I wasn't able to attend the meeting last week. I know the mayor and Dan were there. Did East End Mini Mart crosswalk come up?
Yeah.
Thank you. So through the chair to council, what we were told is the individual who reviews these has retired, so they're actually sending them to another district. So while the East End Mini Mart not specific, the Village of Bible Hill had 6 or 8 of them that were still outstanding for review. And so they were writing another note to follow up, and they were going to be sent, I believe, to another region for review. So I believe a retirement has potentially slowed the process a little bit more.
Find that hard to believe.
Mayor Blair, please.
Thank you, through the chair to Michelle, please. I recognize that this is an information item, but when we're talking about the crosswalk lights, on the Salmon River Road, in Valley, Eagle Drive, you're going to need direction, from council. So will this be coming back to council for an as an action item at our next meeting?
Through the chair, no, but if council wishes to make a motion this evening, then it can be referred to staff for follow-up.
And again, through the chair, given the fact that there's a concern here, the ask has not been made and staff has not been given direction to make that ask, then I'm prepared to put a motion on the floor that council recommend, or council and committee recommend to council that staff be directed to follow up on this request.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder for that? Councillor Leggett? I don't know, Tracy, if you're going to be able to get this up on screen, but is there any further discussion on this motion? For staff?
Yes.
Did you want to speak to this? motion?
Yes, through the chair, and I don't know, I know it's information or whatever, but as, since it is taking so long, and maybe this isn't the right time, but the town of Truro has the flags. Is that something that could be thought of in the meantime until they do have permission for lights or whatever? I don't know.
Maybe Michelle, you could answer that. Flag system, either side of the road.
Through the chair, that's something we can look into when there's back information.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Fletcher. Anything further on this motion? Okay. Question's been called. Vote is open. Please vote now. And Councillor Patton, do you vote in favor of this motion?
I do.
Thank you. Vote is closed. And it's a unanimous vote in favor. Thank you. And the next item, Main Street Bridge over Salmon River, added by Councillor Weatherby, and we have an update from Michelle on the one lane across the bridge between Bottle Hill and Truro. You can see that it's the work has started. You've driven across there, you know there's the traffic light there. Work is supposed to be done September 30th to 26th. Does anybody have any questions, concerns? My only question is, in terms of speeding this up, can the people work at night on this, or is that an option, Michelle? Put some lights on there and get her done.
Through you, the chair, I'm not familiar enough with the type of work that's happening. I'm not sure, Dan, did that come up at the meeting Tuesday?
Yeah.
Through the chair, working through the night was not specific, but there will also be closures. There'll be obviously part of the conversation was to make sure that that gets communicated well in advance. So for example, the second item here, which is the Salmon River Bridge, they've already got signs up for the Salmon River Bridge that when it's that's physically going to be closed. So part of the discussion was that my understanding is that digital devices will be put up with when there's going to be closures or anything that's going to be happening, will start being updated on that. So that if you're driving on a Monday and it's going to be closed on a Friday, you'll know. But there was no discussion with regards to working on that. We can try and follow up with the area manager on that.
Thank you. Looking further on this item? Okay, we'll move along then to our director's report, solid waste, Phil Redden. A very detailed report. Thank you, Phil. Are there any questions or concerns you want to ask of Phil? Councillor Weatherby?
Thank you, Deputy Chair. Just through you to Phil, I just wanted to comment on the education portion of this and the great job that you're doing. We've certainly carried out more events than we were contracted to do. And I think that your staff should be commended on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, kudos to all the folks that keep us organized and clean, and now that the litter is starting to show up and after the snow has disappeared, we've got our litter campaign about to begin, so try and rally some folks in your areas to get out there and start cleaning. Nothing further then on the director's report. Right? I guess we're now moving into closed session. I will look for a motion to move into closed session. Councillor Benoit, seconded by Councillor Kennedy. We're now in closed session and we'll take a 10-minute break. Thank you.
Done.
Here. Oh, okay.